Embiid became the first 76ers player with 50 points in a playoff game since Allen Iverson in 2003, and I think he was there watching. The 50 points by Embiid are tied for the fourth most by any player in 76ers playoff history and sets his personal best in the postseason. Tim Bontemps is with us now, and you were in the building last night. It's hard to believe that Joel Embiid has been back from his knee injury for less than a month, and he just put up 50 points in a playoff game. We also, though, found out he's dealing with more than just a meniscus injury. So health-wise, Tim, what can you tell us about what's going on with Joel Embiid?
Well, today you were right. Allen Iverson was in the building for that game through and for the Sixers last night. And as you also mentioned, Joel Embiid is dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. So let's start with the meniscus injury. He's obviously still coming back from that. He's wearing the bulky knee brace on his knee, even though he was moving, I think, much better throughout Game 3 than he was for large stretches of both Game 1 and 2. Obviously left Game 1 in the second quarter, looked hampered in the second half, and then he looked like he triggered something in the third quarter of Game 2 that limited him through the rest of the game. But he looked very good, I think, physically moving around in Game 3, and that's all the more remarkable when he also has been dealing with Bell's palsy, a condition that has impacted the left side of his face for more than a week now. If you go back to the game against the Miami Heat in the play-in tournament, since then, he's been dealing with this condition which causes the left side of your face to not be able to move. So he's had to put eye drops in his eye to keep it from drying out. He joked that he doesn't want to impact his beautiful face and his beautiful smile. It doesn't allow him to quite use his mouth in the way he normally does. And it's obviously been something that has bothered him on the court. I asked if it's impacted his vision, and he said that it's at times made it blurry. This is why both last night, speaking to reporters, and after Game 2, you saw him looking down at the ground and not at the camera because it's hard for him to sort of look level at people when he's dealing with this. So you've got all this going on with Joel Embiid. And the other thing, Chiney, that I think hasn't been talked about very much is there's been a real mental toll on Joel Embiid, something you talked about last night after Game 3, something he also talked about before coming back from the knee injury. This is a guy who year after year says, all I want to do is be healthy when the playoffs arrive. And every single year of his career, he's either missed the whole season with an injury, missed the end of the season with an injury, or has been dealing with an injury in the postseason, as we just laid out. He's dealing with multiple injuries right now. So despite all that, Joel Embiid had 50 points last night, got the Sixers back in the series, backed up his declaration that the Sixers are going to win the series after Game 2, and as always, is the most interesting man in the NBA because every game, no matter what's happening, there's something happening with Joel Embiid.
Tim, it is truly remarkable given all that he has gone up against and all those challenges. He's also played his way into shape during the playoffs. He has increased his scoring in every game of the series, and that culminated with a new playoff career high last night. This was hands down the best postseason performance of his career. But Brian, can we say that Joel Embiid truly unleashed something last night?
I think so. I think all things considered, it was remarkable. I think it's frankly going to be hard for him to replicate it. The Sixers are going to need to get more balanced production from across their team because, frankly, the Knicks are probably pretty pleased with what they got from Jalen Brunson. Scott mentioned that earlier. It was glossed over because Embiid was so breathtaking, but he had 39 points and 13 assists last night. So they needed every single one of these 50 points, and they really never had great separation. They were behind at halftime. So it's an incredible load that they're asking from Joel, and it's remarkable that he's been able to carry it and continue to get better every game in this series.
Wendy, you're so right. I've learned so much about Joel Embiid in this series. Look, we all know he's a generational talent, one of the best ever at the center position in terms of skill and talent. But I'm learning about what's inside of his heart and his head. This guy is competitive. He's got great passion for basketball. He's playing on one leg through multiple medical conditions. You got to marvel at what he's doing. And I think he's really empowering his teammates, too, because they're watching him do that. So I got to believe that they're going to come out in this next game and try to rally behind him, knowing that he can't keep putting up 50-point performances, and they try to get wins all the time.
Well, let's stick on the numbers, though, Scott, because Joel Embiid's 50 in Game 3 was a blend of efficiency and also just straight-up dominance because he's the fifth player in NBA postseason history to have a game with 50 points, at least 5 threes, and make 65% of their shots. All of the previous 4 players were guards, making Embiid's offensive versatility truly popped. Now, Wendy, overall, when you look at this matchup, it's been truly emotional. I mean, game 2, the way that the Knicks won. Now, there's some controversy. Game 3 with Joel Embiid maybe not being ejected. Where do you think the series overall stands?
I think the Knicks probably feel okay about where they're at. Game 2 was a 50-50 game that they stole, maybe even 51-49 in favor of the Sixers. They hung in this game despite Embiid throwing haymakers like that. And the Sixers kind of had confidence in the defensive strategy they were employing on Brunson, using a bunch of size with him, using Nico Batum and also Kelly Oubre on him, and he was able to break out of that. So I think the Knicks probably will take some confidence, especially because of the way Brunson played, into Sunday's Game 4.
The Sixers just need to get better performance. They need to get better performances out of their supporting cast. Someone's got to rise up. You know, Kelly Oubre had 15 the last game, but Tobias Harris, Buddy Hield off the bench, they're going to need someone else to provide scoring other than just Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid if they want to win Game 4.
Let's dive a little bit in further because Joel Embiid had the best game of his playoff career, dropped 50-piece special, all flats on the Knicks. And again, he's just the 3rd player to score 50 against the Knicks in a playoff game. As I mentioned before, the other 2 are Hall of Famers.
NBA